Well, I guess that's that. I guess that is that. Oh my goodness. So, verdict, I guess, what is it? Charge it? What is it? The sentencing. Yeah, sentencing. Everybody, I'm sure, is happy. Hello, how are you all? Let's bring my coffee over here. It's very important that I do that. Oh, it's getting closer. Yes, I'm trying to move things to the various different. Okay. Yes, get that there. Okay. Lovely. How's the sound? Everybody hunky dory? Hunky dory. Yes, that's an old statement, right? Um, what's the problem? What is the problem? Why isn't Dr. Whimsy dancing in the streets? What's Dr. Whimsy so worried about with an early felony before August? What did we say? We wanted to stretch this out. What's happening in August? Hey, how's everybody doing? If you can join us, it would be great to like, subscribe, share, become a member, all that wonderful stuff, because gosh darn it, it's rough out there, and I am not going back out there. You know, I went shopping yesterday. I was going to pick up a few things. I spent $149 on a few things. I was trying to be good, right? Diverticulitis, right? You got to be good. You've got to eat vegetable soup, right? And then I thought, I'll be really good. I'll buy all these vegetables and then I'll make sure they're organic. Oh my God, I spent so much money. But, you know, when you're, I just can't. I think it's wheat. I think I've got to, gluten puts holes in your gut, you know? I think it does. And I just love bread. And I don't believe this whole thing about European versus no. No, gluten is hard to expel, and so it causes micro tears and diverticuli. And so you got to be careful with how much of it. Anyway, you guys don't want to talk about natural medicine. You're too happy. You're too happy, though. Would you be happy if Nikki Haley cinches the nomination and it's Nikki Haley debating Biden? Does that make you nervous? Who are you more nervous about? Let's take the poll, okay? Nikki Haley debating Biden or Trump debating Biden? Who do you think is going to do better? Who do you think is more likely to get swing votes? Who is a bigger threat? Yes, I made 3-4 pounds of granola today, homemade granola. No, it's not the same type of gluten. No, we're talking about the glue in wheat that makes bread rise, that it gets stuck. And now they're looking at the bacteria in diverticuli and find that they are related to the bacteria that grow on bread. And so they think it's a combination of straining when a person has a low fiber diet, but also if they eat a lot of gluten. Like I don't eat a lot of meat. And, but what I do is I live on bread. I eat massive amounts of bread, like loaves of bread, and your body has to really work, particularly if it's white bread or something like that. No. I do very well with grains. Grains are in the human diet for at least 1 million years. That got debunked. That's one of the things that got debunked. We domesticated grains before we domesticated animals. Yeah, we've been eating domestic grain longer than domestic meat. Mm-hmm. Well, rice in China. Think about that. Rice in China. It goes back thousands of years. Um, yeah, millet in Africa, millet. Though I never really learned how to make millet taste good. It always had like an aftertaste. Oatmeal, the oats come from Northern Europe, like Scotland, and that was one of the main grains. And wheat comes from, uh, well, the grain belt. But that's a type of wheat that's different than the African wheat. The African wheat came over when the Neolithic period, when they came over to Europe and they brought seeds with them. So it's been around for a long time. It's just that what's changed, I think, is the amount we're consuming and the degree to which it's processed, and it's had its, yeah, cellulose. Exactly. Thank you, Joel. So cellulose or fiber, if you remove it, and then you have really high gluten, then those two things together is not good. Yeah. 10 to 20,000 years ago, yes, started with herding cultures, right? And so they were semi-nomadic. When we study the Torah, we study the history of economy. This is one of the things that we point out as anthropologists when people study the Torah. First, they're living as hunters and gatherers, they're living naked in the forest, all is well, and then they become pastoralist. Pastoral economy was the next economy. So you have people like Abraham. They could move. They were not tied to the land in the same way because they could move their animals around. So they were pastoralist, like the Dinka and the Nuer and the Chicana and the Maasai and the Nuer of East Africa. The Sudan, these communities are pastoral. And yeah, so Abraham was a pastoralist, and then he settles, and then his son, once he buys property, he buys Judea, then his son Isaac began investing in agriculture, and it was Isaac that became the first agriculturalist in the Bible, where he starts buying grain, and then he and Abraham have a dual economy. Isn't that cool as hell? And then when Jacob comes along, it's like the family business is thriving, the historical Abraham was probably an extreme. He was like the Elon Musk of his time, only he was also known to be a very ethical, decent person. Unlike, well, it's up to, I guess, who you ask. Anyway, so let's talk about it. Seems like everybody's talking about it. Are you folks nervous about the fact that Trump got convicted? Are you nervous that Nikki Haley now is probably going to have a good, she's going to cinch the GOP nomination. Look, July 8th, when do they announce? August? Is it August when they have their convention? If he's sentenced July 8th, how is he going to stand for the convention? They're being increasingly pressured to take Nikki Haley. Otherwise, it's going to be all-out cannibalism at the GOP convention. In fact, I anticipate that. Don't you? Yeah, gluten-free bread doesn't do it for me. Yeah, Jacob was great in business. He had a pastoral economy. He works as an indentured servant for Lot. He gets paid in pastoral, right? The old economy was pastoral. So he goes back to Sarah's family to try and find a wife. And like Isaac goes back to that community. Lot's got a bad reputation. But the point is that the economy changes, and it's really cool that you can actually see the evolution of economy and trade in the Bible as it's historically taking place, and the sharing of stories along the Silk Road. It's just very cool. And so it's when you see that, studying the Bible and the Torah can be a lot of fun. Like, oh, the women are in the marketplace. Like if you read A Woman of Valor, how she goes to the marketplace and she's wheeling and dealing That's an old African tradition that women handled the money and that the genders were equal. Sorry. Well, like the Igbo and the Yoruba with the women in the marketplace. We see the same thing in early Judea, that the women controlled the money in the marketplace. So that's interesting to me as an anthropologist. She considers a field and buys it. That's interesting. That statement in the Bible tells me that she had the right to land ownership, that she had control of money. Yeah. I'm really glad that FSU is talking about this. This is the thing that I wanted to bring up to people, is that Haley is a bigger threat than Biden. That Haley is a bigger threat than Trump to Biden, because it's kind of that scary phenomenon that we all fear, which is the polite fascist whose policies are 90-something% aligned with Trump, but it's being dished out in a polite manner in a skirt. And so it's more likely that people are going to stomach it, even though her policy on women's right to choose, etc., is pretty gruesome. So let's go ahead. We'll do the empath's prayer. Sorry, I had a hair in my throat. We'll do the empath's prayer, and then we can do some blitzes. Sound good? Excuse me. My beautiful kitty strikes again. Ukraine is giving, yeah. Well, Joel, you've been watching the remote views. Why do you think that that's starting to happen now? Anybody want to answer why you suspect that France has entered? Why don't you folks tell me? And some of you are remote viewers yourselves. Some of you are teachers. Some of you are headed towards graduation, final graduation. Why do you think France is entering? And why do you think that Biden has supplied the weapons and told Ukraine to go ahead and hit inside Russia proper? What do you think's starting to happen? What does this have to do with the phenomenon of rope-a-dope, which we talked about 6 months, a year ago when this started? Rope-a-dope. How Putin might have been pulled into a rope-a-dope. France has troops in Ukraine. What do you think's happening, people? Anybody venture to guess? NATO coming in and prepping for... Are we looking at a ground invasion of Crimea? Yes, we are. Mm-hmm. How long has that been in the works? About 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. 2.5 years of planning the ground invasion. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll do the empath's prayer, and then I'm here as long as you guys like. We will blitz, blitz, blitz away. All right. Oh, sorry about this cough. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively as a community, we say, Amen. Oh, got a hair in my throat. Very annoying. Yes. The Kerch Bridge. Did they take out the Kerch Bridge? Are you folks nervous about Trump being kicked out of the GOP? Do you feel better or worse about Nikki Haley taking the GOP nomination likely? He's going to get disqualified. That was why they wanted her as runner-up, as VP, because they're not stupid. They knew this was going to happen. And she's in Israel, right? She went to Israel to promote herself as the next president, making all kinds, showing that she could hold her own in an international crisis. It's very obvious what Nikki Haley is doing. All right, NATO in Crimea. The clouds of war are here. The opposition to NATO, the inverted ship, they're going to start sinking their ships. So they're going to attack Crimea's, the rest of the naval. The rest of the Navy, almost said naval. The rest of the Navy is going to get hit. They rejected the no ceasefire until they leave Crimea. Look, the casket. So, I don't see how Russia can continue on after this summer, considering what the economics are like. Also, many Russians are fleeing, and from what it looks like here, there's several cases of abandonment and Russians who have simply gone missing. Like in Crimea, the fact that they won't serve vodka now to Russian troops, and the Russian troops are beginning to break into the kiosk and take the vodka. There's this kind of overall apathy that's taken over in soldiers. You got this complete confusion about the war, the winds of war. It came as an inverted card, even though we don't usually do inverted with Lenormands, but I can't help but feel that they're going to hit the naval ships. The hope and the fear, like running like this fox taking off. They're coming into victory. The rider who comes in with victory. They're bankrupted. They simply do. Honestly, they don't have the manpower to keep Ukraine from marching on Crimea at this point. They don't really have much of a military, it looks like. So, they lost, what was it, 500, 600,000 troops, and troops last 8 hours on the battlefield. The life expectancy is 8 hours. So, they sank 2 more ships today. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, it looked like sunken ships. That was kind of weird that the ship came out backwards and it was in the opposition of Ukraine. And my thought was like, they're going to take out the ships. Wow, they took out the ships. Yeah. Well, do you guys feel sorry for Russia? Do you feel, I guess my next question to you guys is, when you hear the Russian argument that they built all this stuff and then the West stole it, and they want their port they built, should we have given more compensation to Russia so that this type of animosity didn't develop? Was there adequate compensation for when they left, but they left all those resources? You know what I'm saying? Rose Blue says that 350,000 people have already left Crimea. Well, they should leave because according to the cards, NATO's coming in, and we had a hard hit that they would be in by June 17th, which means that Ukrainian troops a ground offensive will probably be in Crimea by mid to late June, I would think. You know, he did. I think that what I take away from the story of Putin is that he believed his own narration, and he surrounded himself by sycophants. You know, he surrounded himself by people that were egging him on. Yeah, we're just going to march into crime. We're going to just do this, and the people are going to love us. And it didn't turn out that way. So I don't like these cards because there's something about generational damage. Like I don't like the tree of life being here and this idea of like generational damage, because what they're saying is that the relationship between Russia and Ukraine could be damaged for centuries, even if some kind of rebuild, something has to be done, or the freeze could last for a very long time, for many generations. This is like a card of the tree of life of its many generations. It has me a little nervous that, you know, they could potentially be, if the government completely collapses in Russia, or they don't have much of a government in Russia, then who's in charge? That's another thing. What is, does it descend then into criminals and psychopaths and oligarchs, human trafficking, criminal elements? So in plainer words, what they're saying is that you could be having generations of problems with crime, etc., corruption in Ukraine, and problems because Russia no longer has a working government. They basically don't have a working government. Their government's collapsing. They're having a purge in their military. They're arresting people left and right. So there's a real vacuum in Russian leadership right now. Yeah. So getting on to the Trump trial, I know you guys want to talk about it, so let's go ahead and talk about it. 34 counts was what he had been charged with, and he was found guilty on all 34 counts. He is going to be sentenced. I believe the date is July 11th or 8th. Does that remind me of what it is? When he's going to receive his sentencing, is that right? So I don't think he stands much of a chance with the appeals. I think that it's looking very bad. It's 34 counts. If it goes to the appellate, isn't that going to be basically Biden appellate? July 11th, thank you. So what we're looking at is him I think I don't know why isn't the other guy in prison? Oh, with the aorta? Yeah, I said that they would take it, the Philadelphia Quarter, in 36 hours. Yeah. And they found that main tunnel too. But yeah. Yeah. We love it. We love our job. It's fun. It's fun to be a remote. I want more people to become remote viewers. It's a beautiful thing. People get mad at me sometimes. You shouldn't be looking at this stuff. Hey, don't break the law, and then you won't have a problem with what I do for a living. You know? Elaine Perlman says Russia needs to learn how to work with other countries. Yeah, the trade is all, the Suez Canal. Egypt, the fact that the Houthi are attacking boats coming out of Port Said, all of that. And I think energetically we can meditate on this. The fact that the trade tunnels where Hamas was paying people to put tunnels in their homes, and then Hamas was also able to charge for smuggling and make money. So again, it was a type of trade route. Well, it was a trade route, right? And then the West comes in and it shuts down the trade route, right? I thought it was kind of funny that Egypt said, tunnels? What tunnels? There are no tunnels. We don't know anything about any tunnels between Israel and Egypt. Well, no, us never. I thought that was really rather silly. All right. So Trump, July 11th sentencing. Let's take a look at how bad it's going to be. I think that they are looking for a place to house him, and I think he will be housed isolated from the general population, and it could be a military facility. That was what I saw. I don't think the appeals are going to work. We can check. I don't know why Bannon's not in prison, but let's take a look. President Trump. Energetically, he's very upset about his financial situation. So in addition to the fact that he's just been found guilty on 34 state felony counts, he's also in trouble with needing to come up with bond money, etc. So I feel as Trump like I'm stressed about money in addition to this. So everything that could go wrong is going wrong. Like I said, it's the toilet bowl that he's being flushed down. It's very hard for him to get out of this situation at this time. As far as the feds are concerned, it's kind of like they're done with the issue of Trump. Trump is no longer a threat to the democracy. He'll be wiped out financially. There's a real denial here. The verdict's coming in. It's interesting that they're seen as female, the jurors, 2 roads. He gets convicted. Look at this. The mask of the actor. It's like he's completely in denial about what's happened to him. I see him isolated. I see him taken to, you know what I always see? It's like VIP prisoners are treated differently. They are. It's interesting that he got the bridge, which is to be carried from one place to another. It's also an assistance, like a bridge over troubled water. It's almost like taking the old man to the farm, out to pasture, grandpa. This is not malevolent, but it also doesn't show him becoming the president. He's finished, which was something that I always got very nervous about. I don't know, as somebody who really wants Joe Biden, if I'm totally happy with the fact that he's out of the race. Very likely, he's out of the GO. He can't run. He cannot run. When he's awaiting sentence, when he's trying to work on his appeal, when he's trying to come up with $500,000, was it $500 million? How much money does he have to put up because his money situation is in trouble? He's also under another investigation for what's going on in Scotland. And then Dorado? When I did remote views, they were all underwater. He couldn't financially afford to even keep the doors open. He was needing tons of money just to pay the bills so that he could put on the appearance of being rich. It was crazy. He wants to have all of his golf courses open so that when he travels all over, he can go and greet people. It doesn't matter that nobody's there or that they're all in the hole $1 million a year or more. They're bleeding him dry. his golf courses and his so he has to decide, and he's going to have to get rid of a lot of things. But let me switch cards. I'm just curious about if I'm right. Where do you guys think that they're going to put Trump? Do you think that he's going to prison? And if so, what kind of a prison? The eternal victim, Donald Trump. He's extremely angry. Trump is extremely angry about this injustice. Knight of Swords. So much so that he intends on lashing out, and there could be an emergency hearing about his behavior, and he could be reprimanded to custody early. Does anybody know the law to explain how that can be done? Because what I'm hearing is that if he continues to act like this, they can take him into custody early. And I don't know what the law is. Look at this. Violent Raging Knight of Swords. If you're a tarot card reader, the psychopath card of the Knight of Swords is also known as Bull in a China Shop. It's complete, utter destruction, ripping things apart. But it usually shows up when somebody has lost control of a situation. And I would say that in this situation, Trump has very much lost control of the situation. His opposition gets the job. So either it looks like, Biden will probably get reelected. Yeah. Hopes and fears, his victory. So which would be what, in 6 months? Is that how much time? Moon. He could be dropping into lunacy. Could he be put into a mental asylum? Lunatic. 6 months. Where are we now? We're in June, July, August, September, October, November. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 6 of Wands, 6 months would put us in November for the election. No, he's out of the race in November, according to these cards. The remote. He observes the race, but he doesn't participate in it. I imagine he's incarcerated. He could be, something major happens to him in August. I think Nikki Haley is going to cinch the GOP candidacy. Is she an Aries or Leo? Look at this, by August. Their convention's in August. Look, the job goes to this lady. Either Biden or some woman. Hopes and fears, 2 of Swords. He's into complete denial. Yeah, it's finished for him in August. So he's found guilty. He gets his sentencing July 11th. He'll have an appeal, but everything could be over for him by August. And just mounting legal problems, he's not going to be able to run. I think people were so afraid of him that there's this feeling of relief, like, oh, he's probably not going to be able to run. You know, this is great. This is great. And then it's going to slowly start dawning on people in the coming weeks that it's going to be Biden against Haley. And at that point, people might start to get a little bit nervous. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are you guys nervous? Or are you thinking, no problem, Biden will wipe the floor with Nikki Haley? She saw a big walrus screaming, 45, he's going to yell at everyone around him. I am the egg, it makes me think of that song. I'm the walrus, I am the Eggman, cuckoo, cuckoo. I don't know. Glad to be here with everyone. Hello from early summer in Seattle. Yes, it's nice. I haven't left my home for days. I need to get out there and see the world. And it's beautiful here in the Northern Oregon. Yes, it is. Oh, y'all from my part of the world. Oats are good. Oats are great. Yeah, everybody's starting to feel like me, nervous as heck about Haley. They got to spell her full name correctly for write-in votes. Wait a minute, is he on the ballot already? No, don't the ballots come out after the official GOP nomination? I don't know. Saffron rice. Yummy, yum, yum. That sounds delicious. Fish is the food for carnivores and omnivores. Well, if your ancestors come from Northern Europe, they were probably fishermen. It does not matter. They are from the same mole. Let's see here. Gluten bread. No, I don't like gluten-free bread. I like bread to be bread and to smell like yeast, Well, let's see, Wendy, let's take a look at what the GOP convention is going to look like. Where is the GOP convention going to be? Does anybody know? And when is the date? Does anybody want to look that up for us? I just don't think it's going to go well. I think Trump is gone. Yeah. But he's entertaining. We can be entertained while I know it's a strange feeling. What are we going to do now that his power is gone? I just don't see it after 34 felony state. I think it's pretty much over, but we can enjoy the process. Right now, I think we really do need to keep our eyes on Nikki Haley because that is what has me nervous. Let's look at the GOP convention and see if it's a meltdown. The cannibalism has commenced. Okay, so they're saying whoever is the person that has to run the show, the head of the GOP convention, the head person, it's like order in the court. You have this judge coming in to the GOP to keep civil war from happening. The opposition is grieving. So Trumpers go to the convention angry, upset, grieving. Look at this anger and grief at the convention. And there's this person there that has to keep control of the situation for everybody. The final outcome is Biden wins the presidency. What do you think the takeaway is for the GOP? Do you think there's a spiritual lesson here? Biden's going to win, not Haley, but I think they're going to try and get Haley in, which is the best thing that they can do given how little time they've had. What Biden is there. What do you think the spiritual lesson is for the GOP after everything is said and done? And not just the GOP, but for all of us after this situation? Idol worship, chasing after idols, worshiping people rather than our ethics, holding people accountable the way we should. Nikki Haley will come back and run again. She's not finished. They're going to do their best to hold on to control of the GOP. There's this tremendous grief and walking away of the Trump supporters, this new beginning, this new young GOP, but they ultimately have to hang him up. Ultimately, the final outcome is Biden. I think for them and for the whole nation, it was a spiritual lesson, the time of Trump. I think that Nikki Haley will take the nomination. I think that she is going to challenge Biden on some international policies. And yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Interesting question. What GOP? Yeah, like what do they have left? So you have this kind of cannibalism happening because they don't have any money because all the money went to the Trumps, and now Trump is going down the hill, and they don't have any money for other candidates. So there's this hysteria breaking out, right? She couldn't win her own state, but now that he's gone, we could see libertarians going with her because she has a strong stance on Israel. And those are things that could cause people that didn't like Trump to go with Haley. Excuse me, I need to get a glass of water. I think some people think that I'm voting for Haley. No, I'm voting for Biden. I'm a registered Democrat. My job, though, as a remote viewer, as an empath, is to tell you how I feel as a GOP voter. How does the energy feel to be in these situations when I am that person? I feel like the Democrats ripped us off. I feel like the Democrats stole our candidate, that it's a scam. We leave the GOP, we leave the convention angry, pissed off, feeling like we've been the victims of a scam, and now the rhinos are taking over. That's how I feel walking away. It's not good when you get a card like the Eight of Cups over Trumpers and the GOP convention, because that's to leave everything. So, yeah, I don't think they have much of a future. Wow, it's really getting hot in here. Turn the air conditioner on. It's a really amazing card, the Eight of Cups. They say it's to go off and find the ninth cup. But it's also a card where you really do have to let everything go. And the fact that Trump's people are grieving Four of Cups and the fact that they had that Nine of Cups leads me to think that they are going to be overruled at the GOP. It's simply not practical that he can continue to represent the GOP. And I think the delegates are going to make that tough decision. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, Laura Trump being fired. I could see that, well, the money's gone, right? The money is gone. So somebody needs to be blamed, right? No, she's in trouble. God, what they live in their own fantasy. The tower. She's going down. She's potentially going down now. The opposition contract. Hopes and fears, the presidency. This is him. And then 10 of Wands packing up and moving on. Not good. Clarification. I think she quits. I think she's replaced. I think Nikki Haley is going to bring her own people in because she comes as a businesswoman and it crashes. The wish card and the contract goes to the opposition. She's stressed out about her father-in-law, but look at this. She moves on, and then these ladies come in. I think she's going to be replaced. Yeah. There's no way people are not going to have animosity. There's just no way. It's too big a rift. It's too big a rift. It's now close to 50-50 split in the GOP. She has to go. She can't stay. It's too contentious. There's too much animosity now. They're literally starting to physically assault each other at these GOP conventions. It's not pretty. Everybody's blaming the MAGA for stealing the money. and misappropriation and everything else. And the reality of what they've done to themselves. But who do they have? Who can they blame other than themselves? They're the ones that voted for this guy. They're the ones that put their party in this situation, right? Well, again, with Nikki Haley, right? She is going to have to take the stance on abortion is really going to harm her. A bologna sandwich could get more votes than a Republican. Oh my darling, yes, you just that's mean. Oh, thank you, Lola Herrera. You're such a nice person. Thank you for that lovely donation. So what else do you folks want to talk about? I mean, can you believe it? Trump is finished. That's it. There's no way. You can't come back from that. Trust me. Oh, it's only going to get worse because now he's also having does anybody know what's going on with him and the fact that he's in trouble with his bail? What was the bond for? Was it I don't know. There's something wrong with his bond. He's having bond problems as well. Trump is kaput. Kaputzi. Kaputzi, yes. It's do people feel relieved or disappointed, or like it's a little bit more like, ugh? Do people still think there's hope he could win the GOP nomination, or do people now realize that he's probably going to get thrown out? I'm telling you, I'm telling it's Nikki Haley, 100%. All right. Will Biden attend his son's trial? I haven't kept up on this, but it turned out to be a big joke, didn't it? Like the whole thing got debunked, the whole Burisma. And oh yeah, we can check to see if the New York bond is rejected. Yeah, does anybody? But Tariana says he's finished. I think he's finished. I can't imagine how he wouldn't be finished. But, no bail today. Bond for the Trump Organization case. Will the bond be rejected? Okay, let's take a look. He's having serious financial problems. Four of Pentacles. A judgment is his opposition, his hopes and fears. There's a Lovers, so he's going to have to go elsewhere to get money. He's like hard up for cash. No, his bond will likely be rejected. He's facing further problems with his bond. Oh my gosh. Because in his cups, which could be he's emotional. Four of Pentacles, which is to hold the coin. His opposition, the judge hangs it up. That leads me to think it's not going to be in his favor. The hope and the fears that he gets his wish, the 10 of Pentacles, his legacy, his money, the final outcome, Lovers, and then 7 of Wands is to defend his territory. Lovers is an infidelity card. It can also be to reach across the aisle, like let's work together, let's try and make it work. But the fact that there's a 7 of Wands, which is to defend his position, tells me that he's probably not going to get what he wants and that he'll probably have his bond be rejected. Mm-hmm. Yes, and then Fannie Willis is coming after him. She's continued to do work. And let's take a look at Fannie Willis. I can't believe the documents case that Eileen can in protecting him, but in the end, does it really matter? Because everything else took him out. Fannie Willis, is she going to be able? Fannie Willis. Queen of Rods, she will see the thing done. My way or the highway. Whoops, what's going on? That looked like I was lagging. Opposition, frightened, pulled back. Hopes and fears that the sun is coming out over Trump. Let's see the clarification. She refused. Fannie Willis refuses to do a deal with Trump, and they are now willing to make a deal with her, and they're now asking to take into consideration his age, his health, etc. Now, after everything is said and done, they're trying to talk to Fannie Willis, and she's saying absolutely not. No special treatment. It's pretty gruesome. You have this Queen of Rods. My way, boom, boom, my way, my space. You don't come into my, this is my courtroom. This is my this is my, right? The Queen of Rods, always when you have rods. This is my advice to anyone who's learning about cards. Anytime you have rods, you're talking about territory and time. You can predict time with rods, and you can also look at people's views about space and territory. And it's associated with fire and wood, which is gallbladder and liver, and fire is heart. So those, getting angry and fuming, and Two of Swords is absolutely not. I refuse to be swayed. That means that basically nothing that Trump says to Fannie Willis is going to help. You can see here he's constricted, and Page of Cups, which is Archangel Raphael, the healer, who comes to bring a healing or an elixir. No, absolutely not. So this tells me very likely they're going to come back and try and get her to maybe make a deal now that they see that the court is, they're not as confident after the conviction out of New York. There's a real fear here, hopes and fears. Here he is. By August, I would say the Sun, and then you can see a conviction here, 10 of Pentacles. Also, what's interesting is that she sees it as her legacy card. So that tells me that it became personal for her. Maybe because of the harassment and everything that she was subjected to from this wingnut. The fact that a criminal can harass, if a criminal has enough money, they can harass and terrorize prosecutors, attorney generals, etc. That's scary that can legally happen. And 10 of Pentacles is to redeem one's legacy. So, and also the fact that she's the Queen of Wands, she takes control of the situation. She redeems her legacy. It's like she returns sanity back to where there was no sanity. Interesting. Page of Cups, like I said, is to receive a healing or an elixir. Each page is associated with a message or an archangel. We have 4 pages. We have 4 archangels. The water healing is associated with Archangel Raphael. I think that there's almost like this appeal that this individual is sick or in need of help. And for that reason, she should go easy on him. 2 of Swords, though, I can't say that she would. She wants to restore the legacy of her work, her courtrooms, her prosecute. That's what she's saying. She wants sanity to return back to where there has not been sanity. And she's very determined. and she will see the thing done. Yeah, it's not pretty. Judge Chutkin is out of New York. And this was the case. God, there've been so many judges. I can't even keep track of. The guy is such a blatant criminal. Who can keep track of everything he's done? But Chutkin, this was whether or not he had immunity over. Is that right? Is this his immunity? January trial? January. I can't even keep track. Yes, the federal for January 6th. Let's take a look at Judge Chutkin. Oh, DC Chutkin. Thank you. Let's take a look at DC Chutkin. DC Chutkin. People complain if we do too much Trump, but Trump's ended as a threat today. Like today was the day it ended. That's one way we can look at it. So I guess we can have a little fun. We can have a little funeral for, like I said, the myth of Trump is dead. That Trump is no more. That he has no career anymore. Like last week when we did the remote. Judge Chutkin over Trump. Is this where he had to come up with the money? Because there's something here about money. She's very confident. Chutkin's very confident. 6 of Pentacles. I mean, this is to weigh out justice, to mediate justice. What is fair? She's fair. There would be no grounds to recuse her. I mean, this looks like 6 of Pentacles would be quite auspicious for a judge to receive. It is about the scales of justice and to be weeded out. Sorry, these shine so much. I really like these cards, but they do shine a lot. He's having an economic issue. The mental and physical health, I'm telling you, of Trump is an issue that's been coming up. She's confident, though, 9 of Pentacles. I don't see anything bad happening to Chutkin. I see a kind of confidence that she is able to handle him, taking control of the situation. She's quite the scholar. She's seen as an academic, confident academic. Look at this. She takes the swords. She won't have nonsense in her courtroom. 5 of Swords. Is there anybody here after today who still thinks Trump stands a chance to be the 47th president? Or, yeah, is it 47th? 45th and the 47th. The Lenormand deck, we can move over to those. This is the Lenormand, the Gilded Reverie. It's one of my favorite decks is the Gilded Reverie. I'm trying to get people to see more of the decks. I have close to 50, 60 decks. These are the Morgan Greer. I use those a lot too. Yep. Yeah, let's take a look at Trump's health. It's a ticking time bomb. Do you guys want to do anything besides Trump today? No, because it's a big deal. I get it. Yeah, Trump's power is no more. All right, let's take a look at Trump's health. Guys don't want to talk about the royals? No. Trump's health. Be patient. They're saying his biggest problem may be drug addiction. Yeah. Sobriety. Four of Swords. I think that I'm having a health challenge. You folks wanted to know if he was going to leave or something. Ace of Cups. He could consider leaving the United States. That's true. Because you have this Knight of Cups. And also his opposition is he's facing prison, 9 of Wands. However, since he's been convicted, they may put a hold on his ability to travel because he's now a convicted felon. He's really concerned about being wiped out. And 9 of Rods is a desire to physically move. You can see here more fighting lay ahead. No, I don't think he's going to be able to leave the country. I think he has an amazing amount of stress right now with those types of cards. And he has no future. It's just very sad. Yeah. Oh, but Michelle said she doesn't have the energy for it. You know, I don't think she's ever run for political office. And so she doesn't have a head for it. Yeah. House arrest? See, the problem that they're having with house arrest, which is why they can't do a house arrest, is because it's a security problem. If you know someone is at a particular location and they're a house arrest and then they can't leave, you're going to have to constantly be securing the area because of the looky-loos and the lunatics that would be trying to break you out. And so you'd constantly be having, if they're like up at Columbia Circle or, Manhattan, East Side, wherever Eric lives. And what are you going to do? Have a helicopter above you in your condo? I mean, it becomes really difficult to secure that situation. It's certainly on the books because he is a senior. He is low risk, is to just give him an ankle bracelet and have him stay with Eric. But because Eric has vouched for him, like when he had to go to the judge in Florida, I think it was. It was interesting as a remote viewer, like having that conversation about where to put a high-level convict and meetings about where we can put him and how he would be isolated from the general population and how we wouldn't be able to have him in a normal house arrest because of security breaches. It was really interesting to see how the minds of the prosecutors were going. Well, we can't put him here. We can put him here. We can't put him here. We can put him here. Well, where would he go? You know, like even if he stays, I think Eric's in Manhattan, right? It's definitely an option I would have thought of if I was the prosecutor, is to have him stay in some back room in Eric's house, which, because a lot of seniors do that. They move in with their kids. And so, but again, how would you secure it? Would that be a good use of New York State's? But I also think New Yorkers would resent it. I think that New Yorkers would come to resent the helicopter and all the money being charged to create that situation when he could have simply been housed somewhere. There are a lot of reasons why house arrest won't work. They can try it, but there's a lot of problems with it. Barron goes to Europe for college this fall. Oh, is he talking about going to Europe? Let's see the future of Barron. I don't know. Do you think, Joel, he can go? They can have him in Rikers? Do you guys think that they would, if they can put him in Rikers, that would shock me, because that isn't the feeling I had when I went into it. But I think that, if they can pull it off, great. Barron goes to Europe for college this fall. He's very, very close to his family. He lives a very structured life. He was very close to his grandparents. He presents as a loyal dog. So I don't think going away to Europe would be a good thing for this kid, because this kid cannot be away from his family. This is a kid that probably grew up very close to his mother in hiding safely behind grandparents and cousins, and doesn't want to be in the front, and is loyal to his pack. This is a pack animal who is loyal to his mom. Not a good fit for going off by yourself to Europe. So we have this loyal hiding behind his mom and grandparents, and I don't want to be a part of any of that. He gets carried away to this other place and to become a man. It's a little frazzling. I think it's going to be really difficult for him, because in a way he comes of age. This is the sexy man. So, he comes of age. Maybe he has some love affairs in the next couple of years. They say it's a little too much. It's going to be psychologically hard for him to leave his family. Because you see this here, this birds of a feather flock together, and this dog, he's with his clan, his family. His opposition going away and putting on airs or false mask. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to stay with his mommy. Wants to stay home. Start with this is a quiet kid who likes to stay in his safe area with his computer, with his family. Doesn't want to be pulled out of his comfort zone, and he's extremely studious to the point of extreme focus. And that is something that none of the children possess. Barron is a scientist. I don't think business is the best thing for him. The best thing for him would be research science. Dissecting insects, and studying insects and things. He's got the microscope. That tends to be scientific, person who likes to look closely at things, intellectual. He tends to be inverted. He tends to be extremely loyal to his mom and to his grandparents. Surprisingly, I don't feel there's much of a connection between him and his other siblings. There's like a rift. It feels to me like his mom doesn't like Eric, and he doesn't like the way that Trump's boys talk, and thinks it's a bad influence on Barron, and so she tries to keep distance. So there's not a close relationship between Barron and his siblings, and that's partly because Melania thinks that he should be brought up to behave a certain way, and to speak to ladies a certain way, and to conduct yourself a certain way. And I feel, as Melania, that I don't like the way that Eric and Don Jr. are speaking in front of Barron. And so for that reason, I keep this distance. There's this energy also of like around the people that protect him is like a polar bear energy. So uh, this leads me to think that as imperfect as Melania is, and we all know how imperfect she is, she's extremely protective about who gets to have access to her son. But all of that is a problem when he goes off to live somewhere else. Because he's just so introverted. Mm-hmm. Very introverted person. Will she move back to Slovakia? I don't think so. I mean, she has her friends and stuff in the United States, but we can take a look. Will Melania go back to Slovakia? I like it. It sounds like she raised her son right, keeping him close to his family, highly protective, but it's made him a little bit socially awkward going off by himself without any family there. I think that'd be very difficult for him. No, she's not going to be moving back. She's very interested in establishing a stable life for Baron. And that means making sure he's in the will, there's something here about making sure that he's going to be financially secure, that he's got a little business, that he's got something up and running so that he's going to be cared for. She gets her wish regarding this could be a prenup or some kind of a document that she wanted. Her opposition is the bridge and the kingdom. I also think of this as the White House. So the only way she could agree to be back in the White House is if she was paid. She raised her prices. That's basically what Melania is saying. After 4 years in the White House, honey, if you want me to go back there, you're going to have to raise my prices. I'm raising my prices. That's what she's saying. So we have to renegotiate the contract. We have to sit down and renegotiate our prenup. Stay tuned, right? That's what she said, because for her, it's a lot of work. And I was paid this amount. This was my monthly salary, and this was and I think it's time to go in and renegotiate. Bridge, presidency, hopes and fears if it's over, and also the calla lilies of death. And she's moving on, free baby. She'll move on. She will leave Trump. Yeah, Delilah, I think you're right. Melania will do what's best for Barron. She really loves her kid, as imperfect as she is. And I think she did a good job with him. Let's face facts. I mean, just because we don't like her boyfriend or her husband doesn't mean she didn't do a good job raising her kid, because it looks like she did. He turned out really great, I like seeing those types of cards, those scholarship cards around him. Like the looking glass. That's someone who attention to detail, someone who may be, really interested in learning things. Yes, he'll be at a back room at Eric's place. That's, that's what they've been talking about. And according to those cards, if Trump continues to act like a crazy man, he could be reprimanded to custody early. Yeah. Did Judge Marchand send Riker? Is Riker's already arranged? Let's see. He's going to Rikers or somewhere else? He's definitely finished. He has no future. It's definitely over for people who still think there's hope. I mean, the cross is over. The cross he bears. Um, they do have places, cells, and isolated areas at Rikers for high profile convicts. If necessary, they could have him in a section of Rikers where he was by himself. It's an option, but it's just not the most practical place. There are practical reasons and security. They don't. The problem with somebody like this is that they tend to. It's like having a gang leader in the prison. You don't want to be encouraging that, and so that's one of the reasons why this type of criminal would want to be isolated, so that he doesn't create an uprising or. But this cross he must bear. Also, the microscope over his enemy. They're really looking hopes and fear. You know what? He knows that he's not going to the White House now. He knows that it's over for him. I just keep feeling when I'm Trump like I've been there before. This reminds me of when I had to go to reform school, military school. I've been locked up before. Uh, it's a feeling like, oh, I'm going back. It's not a feeling like I've never been there before. It's a feeling like, oh no, not again. Which again just leads me to think, what did they do to him when he went to that military school? Like, what the heck was going on? Because whatever it was, it deeply traumatized him. I mean, I find myself as Trump remembering that place and just being the night, and then trying to act like it was no big deal, and being, you know, moments, bigger, badder bullies. The place that he went to when he was a teenager is a place where other people just like him have the billy clubs. He's at the mercy of people just like him, only they're older and they've got billy clubs. I mean, that's reform school, right? So I can't believe what they used to get away with. I don't know. Do they still do that? They're not allowed to hit anymore, are they? They still do it probably, but corporal punishment, yes. Paddles, right? The days of the paddles. This is the time. This is what Trump remembers: paddles and billy clubs and 6 a.m. call times and that sort of thing. Yeah. Trump is finished. So Nikki Haley becomes the threat. That's right. Instead of being worried about Trump, we have to be worried about Nikki Haley. All right, folks. I guess that's it. Right-wing networks going insane. Oh, really? I've got to see that. But don't you think deep down they're glad to be rid of him? You guys, don't you think that deep down they're glad he's gone? And now they can say, God, he's gone. We can go give it to Nikki Haley. Yeah, he has guards when he goes to Eric's all the time. He visits Eric, and stays with Eric. I mean, it's definitely. Let's see if they can pull off house arrested Eric, because that's already been, like, when you remote view it, it's been discussed a lot. Poles are nothing burgers. Ooh, that sounds good. Wouldn't you guys love to have a good hamburger? Kate. I don't think there's any new news about Kate. She's still missing. No new news, unfortunately. Is no news good news? I don't know. I think her and her husband are broken up. Will Haley beat Biden? No, it looks like Biden's going to win, but she stands a better chance in the polls than Trump, given how the polls for Trump had been sinking. But they're definitely sunk now that he's been convicted. A lot of people said they would hold off until to make a decision until the verdict. Well, now we have the verdict, so he's finished. It's not. There's no way. There's no way. So they have to find another candidate. It's absurd. Of course, they're not going to keep him as a candidate. I think we all know where it's headed. It's headed to Nikki Haley. Yeah. All right, my beloveds. It was so fun hanging out with you. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, I would love to be your tarot card reader extraordinaire and remote reader, all that good stuff. You can find all the information below. If you need a 5-minute quick Wizio, very affordable, that information is below as well. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. We'll see you next time. Peace out, everyone. Bye.